If there is a fire, that's due to an outdated economic system. I don't know what you're clapping for. I think it's a horrendous state of affairs. Isn't that why we're here? But no, if there is a fire, please run over each other, not helping each other or being empathic in any kind of way. And don't head for the bright green signs that say exit on them, because that is indeed the fire exit. In all seriousness, please do get out quickly, because it's made of fucking wood, this place. Outdated economic system.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this pale blue dot that we all live on. My name is Adamantium, and welcome to this edition of AAU TZM Podcasts. Hope everyone out there is feeling well, and thank you very much for, coming to this podcast and giving some of your time to listen to some of my thoughts on different matters. Just the usual announcement for those of you listening to this on YouTube right now. My podcast also exists on TalkShoe.com. Down in the video description you'll find the link to the call series, and there you'll be able to listen to and download the full MP3 files, so you don't have to sit in front of your computer and click through several videos. You can just download the MP3 and listen to it on whatever device you want. So that's that. I thought I'd start from now on actually giving a regular plug for the essentially it's the canonical text for the Zeitgeist movement, which is the Zeitgeist movement defined, which, in other words, it's the orientation guide for the Zeitgeist movement itself. So I thought I'd start giving a regular plug for that. So if you go to www.thezeitgeistmovement.com/orientation, you will find the complete orientation guide on the site. You can also download a PDF of it for free. And essentially what the Zeitgeist movement defined is it's a collection of 18 essays amounting to, in total, 318 pages of, this is in the physical book, 318 pages. I'm not entirely sure how many there are on the PDF. It's probably the same, but I don't know. But there's that, and that's basically an extensive explanation of exactly what the Zeitgeist movement advocates and what the train of thought is. If you aren't able to download PDFs, there are other ways that you can get it on either Amazon or Lulu.com. I think you can actually, I think there might be another couple of websites, but you can actually buy a physical book of the Zeitgeist movement defined, which I've got my copy of. I actually got mine at Z-Day London, and they were being sold for $5 each. And that's pretty good, considering the ticket for the event was around about the same price. So, we at the Zeitgeist movement, if we have to charge, we do it cheaply. Very cheaply. So yeah, there's that. If you want to know exactly what the Zeitgeist movement advocates and want thorough details with, the amount of sourcing and citations in this book is amazing, So, the Zeitgeist movement defined, that's our orientation guide. So if you want to check that out, go and do so. Just another announcement. Just lately I completed the video for the Z-Day presentation that I had prepared for this year. So you can find that up on my YouTube channel. It's called Weapons of Mass Discussion, the intellectual artillery of the TZM activists. So that's the full title. But on YouTube it's just Weapons of Mass Discussion Z-Day 2014, and it's just under 24 minutes long, so it's not that long at all. But it's essentially a collection of what I call logic bombs, where, you're addressing certain issues or people ask you certain questions, and there's like effective logic bombs to throw in there to sort of, inject reason, or because God forbid if we actually start using reason in all our capacities. That would be chaos, wouldn't it? That's what they like you to think. They say, "Oh no, can't think for yourself. That'll be anarchy. That'll be global chaos." But anyway, I put that video up there. So far, I mean, I only put it up the other night, and so far, I think it's got how many views? 111 views. So for one of my videos, that's a steep view curve. But yeah, there's that. Anything else? Oh yeah, the sponsor situation. Crikey, here we go. Well, one thing I should explain is I actually have a self-imposed contractual obligation to make a public statement about the reason a sponsor is dropped, if not done on amicable and reasonable terms. Yeah, I mean, this ensures that if either of us are in violation of contract or commit a human rights violation, then a public record is made, and thus, extra care should be taken, as a company. Now, I have always proofread the contracts before they're signed, because I write them myself. Heck it, it saves a hell of a lot of money getting a lawyer. Anyway, however, I'm not entirely sure if all my previous sponsors have also proofread the contracts, because solely on the fact that all of them have gotten themselves into some serious trouble, and thus had to be dropped from this show. So, which brings me to announce that Stupid Man Suit, or SMS, is no longer our sponsor, for the reason that there has erupted a legal situation between myself, SMS, and another TDM activist who I can't name for legal reasons. Essentially, the CEO of SMS is trying to press charges on a man who was photographed leaving the decimated remains of SMS's London production facility. And this supposed photographic evidence is being used to put my friend in the firing lines, as it were. And as far as I can tell from having studied the picture, it's the only thing we can ascertain is that he's Caucasian and bald. So, thus, it doesn't prove certainty of positive ID. But as I said, I'm involved with this now because it seems like a conflict of interest, and because it's a legal situation now, and I can't say much more. So, but if there's anything more to report next time, then I will, But that's that. So, ladies and germs, that means that this podcast is brought to you by someone new, namely Prior Portal. A service that provides horoscopes, but not for the future, but in the context of personal thought, but not for the future, which in the context of personal fortune cannot be accurately predicted by using movements of cosmic bodies, instead of just the factual information about their life choices. No, none of that superstitious nonsense. Right? This is reading what our lives have imprinted upon the behaviours of cosmic bodies, okay, relative to when you were born, of course. It's a much more scientifically sound version of astrology, right? I mean, it makes so much more sense to be able to state what is in our cosmic past, and also you may be able to avoid Dara O'Brien telling you that it's a far inferior version of racism. And you know what else? Prior Portal boasts a cast iron guarantee of 100% accuracy, or your money back. So, if you want to find out more about this, because it's just recently been getting off the ground, as it were, go to www.priorportal.com/offer and enter the code name Adam, and you will get 25% off your first 3 readings. And you know what? Can't say fairer than that, can you? So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I wanted to talk about multiple topics on this show, because the thing is, I don't think any of my topics that I wanted to talk about, I think it would be a real stretch to get as much as I can, preferably an hour out of each of them. I think each of them is like maybe 40-50 minutes max. But, I just wanted to cover a few of them because I think today, instead, most of my podcasts deal with like single issues, unless they're an interview, in which case they go from topic to topic. But I keep doing like single issue shows, and I want to do like multiple issue shows, to cover several angles at once. But just as a sort of like a contents for what the rest of the show is going to entail, I'm going to be first off speaking about some observations that I've found about different things in life that are worthy of note. And talking about that, I'm going to be talking about Z-Day in London this year, which was on March 15th. So I'm going to be talking about the whole, not just the evening event, but also the event during the day where we had the information stall in Islington, which was awesome, and I'll tell you about that later on. But after talking about all the stuff that the wonderful stuff that went on during the evening, I'll move on to the issue of information stalls themselves, and I'll because I've gone back through my memory and taken down the locations and dates of all the information stalls that I used to do, and just maybe possibly going through all the experiences I've had. Well, not all the experiences I've had, but the highlights. I can't detail all my experiences. For one thing, I can't remember them, and two, there's way too much for a podcast. That is, unless you want to. Shall we make this a 12-hour podcast? Nah. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about all the sort of things I've learned. That's why this podcast is actually a day late, because the day that April 5th, the date that I should have been recording this, I was doing another information stall. So, this is me have had rest after the information stall, a little bit of a kip, well, a bit too much of a kip, and realising at 6 a.m. the next day that I've really got to get it done. But anyway, there's that. So I will move on to some of the things I've observed. It's probably quite a lot that I could rattle off, but I think I'll just keep it down to 2 for now. They're specifically in regards to things I've heard on BBC Radio 1, because where I work, there's a DeWalt stereo sort of like hooked up on the wall, and that basically plays Radio 1 all day. And some of the things I've heard on BBC, I've listened a lot to BBC Radio 2. Whenever I'm around a radio at 10:30 on a weekday, and BBC Radio 2 is on, then I will play Popmaster. But listening to Radio 1 is an interesting experience, especially for the morning show hosted by Fern Cotton. That there's certain things that crop up that don't completely twig. It's not just the news programs that they play. It's not just the music that they play, which is virtually this in a single week. Every single day will comprise basically of exactly the same songs played in a slightly different order. Not only that, but there's a particular song recently is called The Man, I think. It's by a guy called Aloe Black, I think his name is. Essentially, it's a song that he wrote to explain how great he is. But not only that, is that he's communicating to the world that he's giving them permission to tell everyone they know about him and about how great he is. So, I mean, he came on to what's known as the Live Lounge, which is it's just a performance environment in the studio, and they play live on the radio, and this guy, he came on, and there's this whole whirlwind of hysteria about, oh wow, he's the man, and I'd say that, from the evidence I can gather so far, I can tell he has quite an ego on him already. But Fern Cotton's sat there going, yeah, well, we obviously the deal with the Live Lounge. You come in and you play 2 songs. One of them is your most recent song, and also a mystery cover of your own choice. The first song you're going to play, it's going to be The Man, obviously. Yeah, obviously. This guy can't play anything else. But then the second song he played, it was actually a cover of Magic by Coldplay. And the thing is, even though I did enjoy his cover of Magic, but then again I've listened to the Coldplay version as well, and I actually prefer that one because that's the original, and it is better. But the interesting thing I found about that is that he did that cover, and Fern Cotton said, I love that song. I've been waiting for someone to cover that, and I'm really glad it was you. And Aloe Black responded with, yeah, I'm glad it was me too. Oh dear. And he was not joking, seriously. Can you imagine the ego it would have to say that? I mean, unless you're saying it satirically, then, if he was saying it ironically, then I take it back. But, just the ego on him. But yeah, there's that. That's one thing I've noticed. But also another one is, I can't remember exactly what statement was being read out, but essentially it was a male radio DJ, and this was about maybe 11:30 in the morning or something. But they're talking about some issue where there's some sort of environmentalist input into the situation, and the DJ actually said, because he used this as a preface to read out this statement that was written by an environmentalist or something, or it was basically some environmentalist message, and he actually said, I think he said, warning, environmental message alert, and I mean that wasn't the exact way he said it, but I think it was those words. But it's just the way he said it that made it, it sort of implied, oh, watch out, everyone. You're about to hear something from someone who cares about the planet. Watch out. Yeah, watch yourselves. There are people who care around. Be careful. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I thought BBC Radio 2 was a heap of propaganda that spewed out from it. Not only does BBC Radio 2 give equal time to people who have no idea idea what the hell they're talking about. But I mean, you can't ask the general public and just assume that they're going to know everything about a specific topic that isn't necessarily general knowledge. I mean, yeah, they bring experts on to talk about things, but those experts are, why do you think that a media outlet such as the BBC would be objective in their selection of experts? If you're objective in your selection of experts, then it gives an objective view. And an objective view of the world does not support the status quo, because the objective view of the world is that, wow, that there's a lot of problems, man. There's a lot of fucking problems. And nothing is really being done about it. And in fact, the media is trying to distract people from what actually matters by, putting their attention on all these really what seemingly scary things, when in fact they're not scary at all. A lot of them aren't, don't pose any threat whatsoever. Take, for example, Y2K, otherwise known as the Millennium Bug. The media went mad over that. They were all completely mad. They kept saying, "Oh, you better get this news." Because I mean, I think people made a hell of a lot of money off the Millennium Bug, where I think people were selling software or selling hardware to basically ensure that your computer will not go down. I think people made money from that, and none of it, worked. I actually remember December 31st, 1999. I actually had my computer turned on in front of me when it struck midnight, and it kept going fine. So, but anyway, the idea is that we need to have objective viewpoints about things. So that's really why the media isn't necessarily going to give us the objective view, because they've got financial institutions and pharmaceutical institutions and educational, governmental institutions. All these things that they're beholden to, and that's why they play music that is being sold sold for profit. They don't play Creative Commons music on the radio, no, because that takes away advertising time. Because that is essentially, when the radio plays music, it's essentially not just entertainment, but it's also advertisement as well. Because, especially if it's a song that is used in an advert as well. Because when you hear the song on the radio, you say, "Oh, that's that song from that advert," and you remind yourself of the product. It's a very clever form of advertising. But anyway, there's that. I didn't want to harp on about that for too long, but I just thought I'd add some observations. I mean, I can go on for absolutely ages about this, but I'm not going to. But anyway, moving on to Z-Day London 2014. Now, the event was essentially twofold. Obviously the main event was the conference that occurred in the evening, but there was also a meet-up during the day near Angel Station in Islington, and there we held an information stall. And I think the information stall started at I think it was 10 a.m. or 10:30. I think that's when it was scheduled to start anyway. But yeah, I got there as quick as I could. I think I got there at like, I think 11:30, maybe 12. But you know, obviously coming from where I've come from, and I've never been to that particular place before, so working my way around the underground, you know, I find it difficult enough navigating the underground without having to, you know, use the underground to go to different places every single time. Even though I have gone to Conway Hall before, but Islington is somewhere different. Why couldn't you have done the event near Conway Hall? Anyway, I mean, I assumed that Angel Station. Oh yeah, that's the station that you get out of when you're right next to Conway Hall. No, that's a different one. But yeah, I got there, and essentially, you know, the guys were already there. There was about, I think 6 or 7 of us. I think they got up to like 10 of us at one point. But yeah, we had like all the like the sandwich boards out. We had the big table, leaflets, DVDs, loads of stuff like banners, you know, stuck to the railings behind us. Awesome, absolutely awesome. But yeah, we had that, and I was basically there to talk to people, to give information, and I had my free hug sign with me. Altogether, I gave 34 hugs, which was cool. What else? But yeah, I mean, it was interesting how. You know. I tell you what. I'll move on to the information stall later on, because later on I'm going to be talking about information stalls. So I'll do that then. But overall, the information stall, fucking awesome. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, maybe someone can confirm this, but I heard that a couple of people even came to the conference event purely on the basis of enjoying a conversation with us on the information stall. So I can't claim that as a fact, but that is one thing I heard. That, you know, I mean, sure, it's plausible that maybe 1 or 2 people, which is what I heard, suddenly decided, oh, you know what? There's a conference this evening. All right, okay. Well, how much is it? Just under £6. Really? Okay. Well, where do I get tickets? Oh, all right, okay. Well, I'm going home in a minute anyway, so I'll log on, and that's perfectly plausible to have happened. But anyway, that's that. But Z Day 2014 London, it was absolutely awesome. And also, if I haven't mentioned it before, the opening audio that you heard, that voice, that was Ben doing the part of the opening remarks. But you know, just Ben demonstrating that, you know, how much of a funny guy he is. But yeah, it was a really interesting event. It wasn't that long. I think it started at like 6:30 and went on till 10:30. So I mean, it was a shame that it finished quite late, because, you know, I wasn't able to hang around for very long afterwards. I had to run for the train, and I was going to the same like half of the same stations that my friend Michael was going to. So, you know, we did that there. But yeah, I mean, there were some wonderful talks. Mel, I can't pronounce her full name, but she gave a talk about motivation and summing up that sort of stuff. Even taught me a few